Manus flat on the canvas. We are ready to rock and roll. Second round of action. There is a cut on Manus.
Jesus.
Martial arts chat.
My man B-Hop, he got dropped out the ring last night. I need a little judo baby. I need me a little judo baby, and let's do it, Ron. Let's hit me up.
See you were filming this. You've got a face for radio.
That's got a face for radio.
That's nice.
Martial arts chat.
Hello and welcome to Martial Arts Chat Podcast, and we're live here on Spreaker.com, and we'll be reacting to last night's UFC 217 that took place in Madison Square Garden. Later we'll be asking the panel your questions and comments, and remember you can still hit me up facebook.com/Martial Arts Chat, or if you want to hit me up on Twitter, I'm at Martial Arts Chat. Let me this time introduce our panel. Rejoining us on the round table from the Loudmouth Network, it's Mr. Kyle Steele. Kyle, how you doing, mate?
I'm doing good, man. Great night of fights last night.
Yeah, awesome stuff, and I can't wait to get it with you guys. We're also joined by Fight Talk Scotland's own Mr. Don Wilson. Great to have you back, Don. How you doing, my friend?
Oh, I'm good tonight, apart from the explosions outside, but other than that, good.
That's it, mate. And all the way from the Lone Star State, the co-host of the main event, the best thing coming out of Lubbock, Texas, Mr. Kevin Jones. Kev, how you doing, my friend?
What an introduction from my man John Boy. I'm doing great. I'm sweating my ass off over here, so y'all have fun with that cold weather.
Super, mate. Making us well, Gel. Gentlemen, what a night last night. And I couldn't have been more wrong in my predictions. I said Bisping was too big for GSP. What else? I said Joanna would crush Rose. I said Johnny Hendricks wouldn't make the weight. I got everything wrong. It was a night of shocks and upsets. And, it was just so much to get through, but we'll concentrate on the big shocks, in particular those three big title fights where we saw titles change hands and all of those. And let's start with Rose tearing the title out of Joanna's hands, and I'll start with Kyle Steele on this one. Kyle, you mentioned in that prediction show that we did that there might have been something in the air, a smell of an upset, if I remember right, your words were. And that scent was want to be won because kissed by a rose, and then it was all over, mate. What was your reaction to it? Kyle, you still there, my friend? I think we might have lost him. Right, okay, well we'll move on then. Try and see if I can try and get Kyle back.
I'm
Don,
right here. Sorry,
Kyle,
guys.
you got me. You testing my line?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear, mate.
I had it on mute. I try to mute when I'm not talking so I don't get background noise. But yeah, leading up to the fight, you could tell that something was off with Joanna. You know, she's normally a shit talker. You know, she's normally in your face. She's normally doing, the fist and the whatever. Like, yeah. It's not like there was too much different, but you could tell that it wasn't getting to Rose. And you wondered if there was, and this is what I was talking about on the episode, there was this shade of, and I didn't even know because we recorded this before our episode, we recorded before the weigh-ins, where That's it right. really culminated. Yeah. But my fear the whole week was that it was the shades of Holm, where Rousey was doing what she normally does. Everybody reacts to it. But Holm never did, and I think that was an X factor. And you had it with Rose here too, where she just was not reacting to it. She's not the type of person who that type of stuff is going to work on her. And I think Joanna paid dearly for it. And I'm wondering if some of these fighters, if they need that to win, that is the second layer to the game. And if you remove the one layer, they're kind of kaput. Every single person who's fought Joanna, I think, has been terrified of her. I don't think that Rose was. And I hope and pray that we're not about to see a kind of downfall of Joanna, where all of a sudden people go into the fights, they're not respecting her, they're not scared of it anymore, they're not letting it get to them, and all of a sudden she starts losing. I'm hoping that's not going to be the case. I'm certainly not overreacting based off of one fight. But yeah, I think the writing was on the wall for this one to happen. It was in the air, man. It was in the air, yeah. And it happened. I mean, I still picked Joanna to win in my actual picks. I just was nervous about it.
Yeah, but you were quite right to do so. I mean, the odds were hugely stacked in our favour. I'd heard about, the rumblings of, there could be an upset via submission, but I just don't, the way it went down, man, I don't think anyone saw that coming. Don, it really was a shocker, but I don't know, were you expecting it to go down this way, mate?
Oh, I absolutely muddled in my picks. You were like, do you want to do a podcast prediction or reaction? I'm like, I'm not even going to touch a prediction podcast for this show. Like I picked Joanna, but I think like the same with me. Like most folk picked Joanna, but there was something else that you were like, I think Rose might do this, and everybody. And I think it just was the whole Joanna was really going hard on the persona and stuff. She was really trying to get in her head, and just like the more she tried, the less Rose just seemed to be like not really care. And I think that's why she went harder, and it was like at the weigh-in she was reciting the Lord's Prayer while Rihanna shouting in her face, and I was like that must have been for Rogan to be standing. That must have been like, what is going on here? But I never expected it to go down the way it did. Although I did say just before the fight, I was talking to Tony, I kind of hope Rose just goes in there and goes for it and just goes after her. And that's pretty much what she's done. It was really good to watch.
Excellent stuff, mate. Finally, Kev, Rose is the new champ. What did you make of it, also?
Yeah, I don't know. Before the weigh-ins, I can definitely see what you guys are saying, that like Joanna seemed like she was trying a little harder. But I mean, Rose at every weigh-in or every press conference, she looks like she just got done smoking like a fat bowl. You know what I mean? She has this like blank look on her face.
Yeah, spaced out.
And so like, I wasn't really surprised with her reaction. I've always been a big Joanna Jędrzejczyk fan, and I definitely did not see this coming. I saw a bunch of people picking Rose on Twitter, and I was thinking, what's the deal with these folks? Like, what are they seeing that I'm not seeing? I think most of them expected her to get it to the ground and to submit her, though. I don't think anybody saw this knockout coming, man. So, yeah, I thought Joanna was doing her thing, dude. She was looking like she usually does. She's quicker and throws better combinations than everybody. When Rose got inside, she was popping off, 3 and 4 punch combinations, working a little kicks.
Yeah.
I thought she was getting ready to cruise, and then bam, out of nowhere. And I think, speaking of Kyle Steele's point, I remember this happened with I remember several boxers that it happened to, but it happened to Chuck Liddell. Everybody was kind of running scared from the guy and just scared to exchange with him. And as soon as Rampage knocked him out, you look, and then, who was it, like Jardine, Evans? He takes a win over Silva, and then Franklin beats him. I mean, his career just spun out of control. So I don't know if we're going to go that far with Joanna Jędrzejczyk, maybe purely for the fact that she's fighting 115-pound women instead of 205-pound guys. But, dude, yeah, it was insane. I mean, she was a 7-1 favorite. Thug Rose was coming back at plus 450, man. I wish I'd have been in on that action. We're going to get to some more bad predictions that I made. At least I didn't drop the 7-1 on Joanna. But I got myself a little on this next fight, and I had to come back. Luckily, it all worked out for me. But yeah, man, I don't really see Rose defending the belt, like definitely not like Joanna did. But anything can happen. I thought it was very refreshing in a post-fight interview. I know John Boy knows me a little better than the rest of the panel, but I'm way into reggae music and Bob Marley and stuff, and I really thought her post-fight interview was pretty refreshing. The fact that she was, talking about let's stop all this hate. She's going to be a positive champion. I think that's very beautiful. But at the same time, I mean, we're watching people try to knock each other unconscious. So I kind of like a little mean streak in my champions, and that was one of the things I always liked about Joanna. But yeah, man, the mighty have fallen. I'll bring this up too, man. I'd been hearing her talk for the last year or so about, when she was going to retire and how many fights she was going to have left. I don't know if any of that doubt starts creeping in her head, but if there wasn't any there, it sure is there now after Rose put that hand on her, dude. Amazing fight, dude. I think we can mark this down as the biggest upset of the year. And we're almost done with the year, so it's definitely on my short list for upset of the year.
Definitely, that's going to be a hard one to top, mate, for sure. Let's move on, guys. We've got Cody versus TJ, and we did a poll on our Twitter, and this poll is the most popular fight going into that card. It certainly did not disappoint. Cody Garbrandt, it appeared to be getting the better of his former training partner, and he rocked him at the end of that first round. But then TJ, turns to his kicking game in the second, and it seemed to be a real turning point for him. Kev, I'll start with you this time. What did you make of how things went down, and what about the new champ? Where do you think he goes from here?
Well, first of all, like what I was thinking going into the fight, the line jumped. I saw it at 180 that morning, and then it looked like it was at 192. It was at 200 by the time that I started driving down here to see my fiance in Midland, Texas, and then I looked at it before the fight, and it was minus 230. And I thought, man, people are dumping money on Garbrandt. I was a little iffy about it before I saw the line jump that much. And it's just hard whenever you're kicking with yourself. Because, I mean, if you're talking about per unit, that's 50% of what you're going to bet when the line jumps from 280 or from 180 to 230 like that.
Right.
So, anytime that happens, it's like, oh, okay, no brainer, dump the money on it. But at the same time, it's like, well, you didn't get it at 180, so it's not as good of a deal. And if something goes bad, it's going to go real bad, which it did to me. So, yeah, man, that's what I was thinking coming in. And the biggest question I had in the back of my head was, what version of Dominic Cruz did Cody Garbrandt make look like that? And I think the answer to it was that was a pretty good version of Dominic Cruz. And TJ, and he was doing the same stuff to TJ. He started clowning him a little bit. I wouldn't say he looked like he was cruising because TJ was touching him up a little bit. And TJ, is a different style fighter than Dominic Cruz, man. He's more of a come forward and come at you guy. Dominic Cruz, uses his lateral movement and his angles a little better and counterpunches more often. And I think TJ Dillashaw, unbeknownst to me, he had the blueprint of how to beat Garbrandt. You got to go right at this guy and get in there and close the distance and fight an inside fight and touch him. And that's where he ended up clipping him. So, it was a great win for TJ. As far as where do we go from here, I don't know, man. These all these California guys or anybody out in those camps, it reminds me of this boxer that we got right now named Gervonta Davis. And these guys are not the smartest, sharpest tools in the shed. You know what I mean? So I kind of love that little dumbed down fighter. I want my guy to not think too terribly much. You know what I mean? But, I don't know, man. I mean, my predictions have been off this, especially on this card. So, I don't know how much stock you want to put in where I think it's going to go from here. TJ Dillashaw's, he's a great fighter and he's got his shot back. When he first took the title and kind of came out of nowhere. If you remember, he wasn't even on. They released that video game and they didn't even have him on the roster when he beat Renan Barão. So
is that right? Wow.
Yeah, they had to go in and add him as downloadable content, make everybody pay for him because they didn't have the champ on the damn video game. But I don't know, man. It's going to be interesting, because I think with Dominic Cruz being on and off the shelf all the time, and there's just been so much parity at the top of this division, I don't think it stops anytime soon. TJ's a great fighter, but there's several great fighters at the top of that division. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see him lose the title and pick it back up somewhere down the line. I wouldn't be surprised if Garbrandt, rattles off a couple wins and gets his self another shot at this title either. So it's exciting times down there in that division, no doubt.
Definitely. And Don, after all the beef and the leaked footage and the trash talk, TJ gets his belt back. But do you want to see this one going again? There's a lot of talk of a rematch, Don. Would you like to see a rematch?
Yeah, I honestly don't know how this is going to go because there is a few Cruz of what he's fighting Jimmy Rivera.
That's
Cruz
right.
could pick up a win and then be look, I've beat this guy. I want to get my belt back. But then Garbrandt, obviously, he's not. He didn't defend enough. Now he's granted he was a champion. The way he beat Cruz, he's got some kind of pull. But I don't think he can turn around and straight away say I want my instant rematch. It is a tough one. I would like to see it, but there's a lot of stuff comes with this fight. There's a lot of promotion, a lot of kind of the shit talking and stuff. So I don't know if I really want to see that straight away. I would maybe this time next year or something. The way fights go, the way they do, maybe redo it then. But I don't want to see it straight away because then you're literally getting all the same stuff.
Yeah.
In 3 or 4 months' time, you're like, oh, okay, we've just saw that.
Yeah.
But yeah. I didn't honestly. I picked Garbrandt just because somebody asked me why'd you pick Garbrandt, and it was literally. Nobody does that to Dominic Cruz, and I was like, I need to see him defend that belt. I need to see him fight again before I can really put some stuff behind him. But I'm going to go with him this time because what he done to Cruz. But TJ done a great job. Good angles, come in, caught him, and finished it pretty hard. So I don't know where even Jimmy Rivera, he's shooting up, so he is a good candidate. But whether what happens with him and Cruz, we'll see what happens. But yeah, it's weird kind of. There's links everywhere at the top of this division now, where the belt's going to go and what's going to happen. So it's good and interesting to see where it goes.
It's good times ahead anyway, and I think that's probably the most positive thing you can take out of it. Well, it's positive anyway, but that's definitely something to look forward to. Finally, Kyle, your thoughts on this awesome fight, mate?
Yeah, it was a really good fight. One, we have to talk about that sparring footage that got released because I think that swayed people the rest of the way, right, who were already probably on Garbrandt. They saw that footage, right, which obviously doesn't show a knockout. We're well aware of this. But one of the narratives I saw was, well, it wasn't a knockout, but if he gets knocked down like this, then Cody's going to finish. Well, he did get knocked down like that. It looked almost identical, and he dropped Cody twice and wound up TKOing him in the, second round? Yeah. So, that just shows you right there, right there. The other thing is, I also wonder, again, we'll call it like the kind of Joanna thing, where was Cody actually in Dominic Cruz's head? I mean, certainly leading up to that fight was the angriest that I had really seen Cruz. Again, he's a shit talker, but he was very angry going into that fight. More angry than I had remembered him really being. Yeah. He also talked about how Cody was the young gun and he was the old gun, right? He talked about that a lot too. And I wonder if he got in his own head. And I think Cody is another one of these guys that if you continue to get right, if you go into the fight and you let those guys get into your head and kind of plant a seed there, they're going to beat you every time. Mm-hmm. And if you can go into the fight, not view them as being as dangerous as maybe even they are, I think you can beat them. And I think that's what TJ kind of showed there. He was able to withstand it. Listen, go to the Duffy fight that happened earlier, where the fight gets stopped with 1 second left.
Yeah.
I would argue that was just as, could have been stopped too, really, in that first round. If you're going to stop the Duffy fight, I mean, you probably could have stopped that one too. So, that was a hair's breadth away from being a Cody victory anyway. So I don't know. The fight definitely went about how I expected. I just imagined Garbrandt was going to win, but I knew it'd be a back and forth. I knew that TJ wasn't just going to get walked through. But I did expect Cody to win, and that obviously didn't happen.
Yeah. If I can add one more point real quick, Jono, to follow up on my Rose Namajunas joke, TJ Dillashaw looks like when people talk shit to him, he looks like more disappointed than upset. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, you tried.
Like, why would he say that about me? We used to be friends. You know what I mean? It's hilarious. He's like got this puppy dog look. You know what I mean? Yeah. You feel bad for the guy.
Well, the other thing too, and this was a narrative going in, which is Garbrandt is like, listen. I'm not saying TJ, to use your analogy from earlier, is the brightest tool in the shed, right? I'm not saying TJ's the brightest tool in the shed. Well, brightest. No, it's the sharpest crayon in the box. Yeah, I'm not.
It's not rocket surgery.
Listen, TJ's not the smartest guy in the world, but Cody Garbrandt, I mean, holy shit! I mean, did you listen to him talk when they talked about him releasing the book? I was like, wow. Like, first of all, he didn't write any of that. And if he did, it was scribbled in crayon and somebody transcribed it and made it an actual book. Cody's a moron.
And then he gave it to Uriah Faber and he stuck it on the fridge and said, well done.
Good job, Cody.
Yeah, when he was talking shit to Cruz, when him and Cruz were going back and forth, it reminds you of like somebody on the playground where it's like, you tell him, oh man, you're a dumbass, and that, no, you are. No,
you're stupid. Yeah, no,
you're stupid. Yeah, it was fantastic. I don't know where we've ended up here, but let's go, if we can move on to the main event. We love you, Cody, indeed. Actually, just one more thing on that. A friend of mine, what was it? How is it he described him again? A male bimbo. That's how he described Cody Garbrandt, for whatever that means. A male bimbo. A mimbo. There you go. That's the one.
A juggalo. I'm not a juggalo, a gigolo. Juggalo is something very different.
Very different. Right, okay, let's get to GSP then. He started well, but then he looked like he was slowing towards the end of that second round. And then, of course, it all kicked off later. He got the takedown. He got busted up for his troubles, though, but he finds GSP's back, and he found that rear naked choke. Let's start with Don this time. Don, your thoughts on GSP's comeback, and he's now the new middleweight champion.
Yeah. As soon as this fight was announced, I straight away went, GSP's got this. I don't know, there's just something like, I love Michael Bisping and he is right, we'll miss him when he's gone, but yeah, every time he gets announced, you instantly think, "Oh, he's going to get beat," but and then you start thinking, "No, Michael Bisping, he might not get beat." And then people start to put in my head that, "Oh, he's just a bigger version of GSP," and I ended up picking Bisping. But like GSP came out of that first round and he was breathing pretty hard. About 30-40 seconds of the first round, the commentary team picked up on him. Like, yeah, he's breathing hard, and I'm like, I wonder if this gonna give it 2 rounds probably to GSP. Maybe I forget, like could have been 1 each, but I thought it was like 2-0 to GSP. I was like, is he going to start slowing down here? Is this Bisping going to take the next 3 rounds? But yeah, he opened up pretty bad on top, and it was good of him to come back, because obviously you get caught up in, you could see he was struggling with his vision. He kept on blinking, but yeah, he got on top, and that choke was deep. But GSP, every time I looked at it, I was like, GSP looks so weird at this way. He looked so thick. I'm like, this is just it just didn't look normal. It was so weird. But yeah, it was good to see him back. And as Bisping, Rogan and that were saying, is he actually better? Like they think he might be. It was definitely a more exciting GSP fight than we saw in yesterday's.
For sure, yeah, that was probably, Bisping had alluded to, he's just going to cut him to death and all this, but yeah, that was another thing that made this fight really exciting, that he wanted it to be a stand-up game, or it seemed that way. Anyway.
I remember the old days of the GSP title fights, and there was a point where he would change it up every round. They might wrestle you one round, they might box you in the next round, and then as his title defences got on, he knew he was trying to cement a legacy, and it was literally, I'm going to blanket you, and that was pretty much the fights. Yeah, that's the way it went. But no, I was well into this fight, and I'd like to see what happens next. It looks like I think they've already Dana White's basically said that they want is it Bobby Knuckles? Bobby Knuckles, yeah.
What, the gypsy boxer? What the fuck?
No, so they basically want him in Australia.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Yeah, but I could see that'd be a big get for another Canada show.
I mean, for sure.
GSP
I heard
back.
Ariel Wana, who was talking about this today. He said that it's now reopened the Canadian the fan base, or I'll butcher to whatever he said there, but I get what he was saying. It's like that side of things has probably dwindled. I don't know, maybe Kyle and Kev, guys may be able to correct me, but it seems like Canadian fan base is not as strong as it was, let's say, when GSP was reigning supreme. But anyway, let's get Kyle's thoughts on this. Kyle, GSP is the new middleweight champion. Did you ever think that would happen?
I did. I predicted it on our show.
You did. Of course you did.
I did, man. I did, of course. Now, listen, anybody who said that they had like a super, super good read on this fight was either lying to you or lying to themselves. I mean,
just wait.
Guys coming out of a 4-year retirement. I mean, come on now. Even if you predicted it right, you didn't actually know. I did. I picked GSP. I thought he would win this. I didn't think he would win in this fashion. This was the most aggressive striking from GSP that we've seen since, I don't know, but before Matt Serra. I mean, it just he came out and looked like a different fighter. Which is good, which, again, is the exact reason why anybody who said they had a perfect read on this fight is crazy, because what in the world? Come on, you don't know this. But, we've been training with Freddie for a while, and I was getting real nervous about this pick, given the fashion that Zahabi lost, first fight of the night, getting sent into the shadow realm with a spinning back elbow. And, then Duffy losing. I'm like, oh, man, TriStar is not looking good. And, he gets it done. And, boy, I don't know. GSP, baby. It seems like a force. Right now, you book the Robert Whittaker fight. I think I'm going GSP. Yeah. It's crazy. That's crazy.
It is, man. It's phenomenal. Kevin, your reaction. GSP Bisping. What did you think?
I love that show. I can be also.
Kev, I can hardly hear you, mate. It's breaking up. Say again.
I can hear Kyle Steele on the first top of the show. Now I'm completely take a left on him. And the other thing I love is that I can say whatever I want because I'm not in a suit that some guy owns in Lubbock, Texas. But I am the craziest motherfucker when it comes on the show. I think you can attest for that, Jack Boy. And I totally had the best feeling all year going into the fight that this was my lock. I was going to double up a big bet on it. And ended up doing that because
Kev, it's breaking up, mate. I can hardly hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you're breaking up real bad, Kevin.
Wherever you were before, walk to there.
Go back to where you just were.
Yeah. That's it. I always do it and start pointing the phone at the sky.
He might need to hang up and get back in.
Yeah. Kev, I'm going to dial you out and dial you back in. But we'll get Kev's reaction later to GSP and Bisping. But at this time, whilst I get Kevin back on the show, Kyle and Don, we're going to move to fan questions. And obviously we've got a lot of reaction to this. So let's start with Facebook this week. Now remember, the one rule that we have is you don't have to wait your turn. I'll just fire them out, and you just guys you answer them if you want to. If you don't, then don't. So let's start with Kieran Orr, who asks, do you think Cody Garbrandt and TJ was an early stoppage, as it looked like Cody was trying to get into a better position, and how quick he was to get up and respond after the stoppage?
I thought he was quick to get up. I'll say that because I was rewatching it, and it's literally as soon as I think he jumps up, and I'm like, that was awful quick, because he was laying there, face down, hands on his head, and TJ was just going off on him. It was punch after punch, and there was no movement, and that's when the ref stopped it, and then he jumped up. Don't think it was an early stoppage, but I was really surprised about how quick he popped up. But that's what puts it into your head. Is that an early stoppage? Because he was with it, but I actually thought the punches had put him out. He didn't go limp, but he wasn't moving. He was just, the punches were just coming and they weren't stopping. So I don't think it was an early stoppage.
Yeah, it was not an early stoppage. I mean, he jumped up. He jumped up at the end because the fight was stopped at the right time. Had the fight been stopped any later, he wasn't getting up. So it was a good stoppage. He jumped up, and when he jumps up, go back and watch the tape, look at the still frames. His eyes are wobbly, his knees are wobbly, his arms are wobbly. I mean, he looks like he's in a really, really bad way. So looks like Kevin's back. So hopefully we can hear him this time. Hey, we are. We didn't hear anything you said, Kevin.
Robot voice.
Start from the top, baby.
Yeah, GSP Bisping, go.
I started up. The two things I love about John Boy's show is the fact that we get so many different opinions, and even, if I'm agreeing with Kyle still at the top of the show, we get to hear, and I'm totally about to take a left on him, man.
Now, keep in mind, I picked GSP. I played GSP on 3 DraftKings teams, and I bet money in Vegas. So keep in mind, you can't go too hard on me.
I'm gonna. The other thing I was gonna say, man, is that I love the fact that we can say whatever we want to on the show, and I'm not in a studio in a booth with a rich guy that owns the studio in the FCC watching me. So I'll tell you, John Boy knows this. I would think he attests that I am the craziest motherfucker that comes on this show. So if you say I got to be absolutely crazy to have been 100% on GSP, I'm your man. I'm your Huckleberry on this deal.
Right.
Man, I felt better about this pick than I felt about any pick in an MMA fight all fucking year, I think, dude. Just the fact I saw GSP in a commercial before this deal, and I thought, he looks good. He's carrying that weight good, and this is a fucking commercial that he's in. You know what I mean? I thought he was carrying the weight very well. Now, after the fight started, I didn't think he was carrying it that well, man. I thought he was looking like he was going to gasp any second now. I got his hands on his hips coming back to the corner after the first round. It wasn't looking and he was getting touched up a little more than the old GSP would have. Now, given that he looked slower carrying that extra weight, and after the 4-year layoff, I'm not a big guy on ring rust. Especially a guy like on GSP's level. I just don't believe it. Like, I think, it'd be like if I quit. I cooked for a living, have for 17 years pretty much. If I quit cooking for 4 years and then came back to it, I'd fall right back into it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Now, if I started working out and then took 4 years off and tried to come back into it, then I would be, I'd be handicapped on that deal. But GSP, this is what he does, man. It's like breathing to him fighting. So I was not worried at all about the ring rust coming in. And then I thought that, Michael Bisping, just the pace that he works at is so slower than what GSP, we're used to seeing him work at. And that's what gave me confidence. And then the fact that, Bisping has had a previous injury to that right eye, and GSP has a history of severely fucking up people's right eyes. So these are all the things that gave me, and then the wrestling game, and I thought that the fight didn't go exactly the way I thought that it would, but when it was time to put it on him and that killer instinct kicked in, GSP still got it, man. That was a nice little hook that he caught him with, and then the way that he just swarmed on him, and I mean, I was celebrating whenever he first wrapped his arm around around Bisping's neck. I was already celebrating the win and the fact that I'd only lost a small amount of money instead of losing. It would have been a pretty big number if that thing wouldn't have gone our way. But the bigger number than I would have ever been comfortable with. But, you win some, you lose some. So I'm counting this loss as a win for me on my gambling overall last night. And I think this puts – we were talking this morning on the show about I think this puts GSP at the very top of the talk about who's the greatest of all time, man. I mean, with John Jones' record being tainted, Demetrius Johnson's being so far unfinished, and the one loss to that's a debate for another day. But all the guys that we considered at the top, we always considered Anderson Silva above him because of the losses that he had, and for him to come back and take the title at 185 pounds, and very well could have been Bisping's last fight and GSP's last fight, man. I know GSP said that I talked about it, but he wasn't sold on anything, whether or not this was going to be his retirement. But, it'd be a hell of a way to run off in the sunset. And then if the guy if he just defends it one time, that's going to be, just put so much more on top of the talk for this dude being the best ever. It's a hell of an accomplishment by him. And any of you guys across the pond that picked Bisping, don't feel bad, man. I think it's pretty much our civic duty. Or you might get fined if they hear you not picking him when he goes into a fight. So.
Superb, mate. We're on to fine questions, and I've got the guys' reactions. But Kev, I just want to get your reaction to this as well. Kieran Orr had asked me, do you think it was an early stoppage with Cody Garbrandt and TJ Dillashaw?
Not at all. I mean, he was doubled up, turtled up on the ground, taking shots. He wasn't. And I'll be the first to defend a guy if he's on his back taking shots and his hands are moving whatsoever. But, I mean, he's turtled up on the ground, dude. If anything, they let it go several punches too long. I mean, the guy was not defending himself. It was only going to get worse. Definitely wasn't an early stoppage whatsoever. Not even up for debate in my mind.
Fair enough. Let's move on, guys. So, fan questions. Next up is our good friend Miguel Rodriguez, who asks, what's next for Joanna Jędrzejczyk? A rematch, or does Rose have another contender lurking?
I feel like this one, I mean, I don't want to say that you have guaranteed rematches because you don't, but I mean, this is about as close as you're going to get. I mean, she was only champion for 2.5 years, but in that time she defended it several times. And with that defense, if she would have defended, would have, beat Rousey's record. So I think that's about as long as Joanna wants it, which I imagine she does. She said she did in her post-fight conference. Mm-hmm. I mean, there should be no reason to have anybody jump in front of her. I mean, I think that's about as deserving of an immediate rematch as you're going to see.
Yeah, definitely. I think I definitely see the immediate rematch. It's just for title defenses and stuff. Yeah.
I mean, you laid it on. She had besides anybody but Demetrius Johnson before last night, and there's never been a more clear-cut reason to give somebody a rematch, and I felt like she was winning the fight before she got clipped too. So yeah, I'm all for it.
To play devil's advocate on this one, well, it's more because Derek Bowe got in touch as well, and he said, Aldo didn't get an immediate rematch when he got sparked in 13 seconds.
Well,
so surely the same rule applies here.
Different. No, that's extremely different. It's extremely different. Conor McGregor, no rules apply at that point. I mean, right. If Conor McGregor is involved in it, everything that's related to it is irrelevant. I mean,
no precedent for what he does.
No precedent. Sure. Zero.
Yep. Can't disagree with that, man. Let's move on. Kobe's Corner has got a question or a comment for Kyle Steele. Tell Kyle Steele he knows who Daddy is. Sounds homoerotic, mate. What's going on there?
Is that a question?
I don't know, mate. I don't know what's going on there.
Kyle, well, it's because he very publicly picked Rose. He did a breakdown video picking Rose, and I think that's really it. I think he was just very public with his Rose pick, and I kind of I picked Joanna, of course, and my way of picking Rose was to go in parentheses and go like, Rose is really alive here. You know what I mean? Like, that was my way of like sneakily trying to say, I want to go with Joanna, but I feel like something's going to happen here.
Right, yeah.
But I mean, he flat out picked her. I mean, he did a video breakdown explaining why he was picking her and the whole shebang. So kudos, Kobe.
When Kobe gets on a fighter like this that does the things that you say he does, man, you got to pay attention to this guy, man. You know what I mean? I love his breakdowns when he gets so into him. I mean, when he's been on the round table with me, nobody wants to follow the guy when he gets so hyped up, dude. The guy's money.
Yeah, you need some decaf coffee, I think. But thanks, Corey, for getting in touch. Let's take one more from Facebook. Tom Heffernan asks, given how big GSP looked at middleweight, should he consider working on his gas tank to defend versus Whittaker, as I feel he can win that one, or go down and solve the Woodley puzzle at welterweight?
I like going down. I mean, I like the fact that he came and took this title. We just saw Conor become the only man that held two belts simultaneously. Even after 4 years, I think, in boxing they call it, they'll issue a champion emeritus status, to where you can come back and immediately challenge for the title if you've been that dominant of a champion for so long. And I think he deserves. I thought he deserved this title shot whatever weight that he wanted when he's coming back. He's a huge draw. And I know a lot of people were upset with him getting the title shot, but this is the reason that he got it, because it was a huge event, because they were headlining it. And, I mean, it would have been huge with TJ and Garbrandt. But, no, I like him going down. He did say in the post-fight interview that he felt really comfortable at the weight. I think that was a lie. I think he's stretching a little bit. I think he'd love to settle down, in between those two weights, like at 175 or something. But, unfortunately, we don't do that in MMA just yet. Yeah. So, yeah, man, I think he, dude, as stacked as he looked at 185, it could be a problem getting down to 170. If he can do it and he feels it down there, that's what I'd do. And if not, I might defend the title one more time at middleweight against the biggest guy that's going to come. Hell, I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, they could sell us another fight between Nick Diaz and him. People would buy it. I mean, it's not going to be a good. It's not going to be a good fight, but we got sold on it one time, and we'll get sold on it again. There's names out there, and he could defend it one more time, or he could straight up ride in the sunset, dude. I don't know, how much he was stretching the truth in that post-fight interview about how he's feeling. He definitely got touched by Bisping more so than I think he would have if he came up in weight 4 years ago. So we'll just have to sit back and watch, but whatever the case is, I don't think nobody can be nitpicking anything about GSP at this moment and what he just accomplished, man. It's pretty much unheard of what he did.
Yeah,
I think he fights Robert Whittaker, honestly, and I think that is what he does, and I think that's what I want him to do most. I mean, get yourself one defense and then go down, because I think at that point, no matter who, if you let's say Woodley's no longer champion. If Woodley's not champion, it means that it's like Lawler again or something. And I think that's probably more winnable than Woodley. So I think go and defend against Robert Whittaker, which I think is a very winnable fight for GSP. Just keep in mind, Robert Whittaker also a 170 that went up to 185. So I think that's a very winnable fight for him.
Yeah, I think that's the way it's going to go with GSP Whittaker, and I can see it being Canada, even though it's say they went in Australia. Because of the pool GSP has, and obviously the Canadian market, I can see it being Canada.
Yeah, for sure. Guys, we're really short on time, so I'll just take one more and I'll go to Twitter for it. At Else for Elf tweeted to say, Dana is so full of shit. He says 2017 has been best year for UFC and that UFC 217 broke the pay-per-view record. Don't believe him. What do you guys think?
Well, of course it didn't break the pay-per-view record. Yeah, well, first of all, yeah, you
full of shit. I mean, welcome to the party, bro. Read the directions next time. He's a fight promoter. Of course he's
of course, yeah, he's going to embellish everything.
Yeah, I mean, you the only reason why I knew, and this is 100% true, when there was all those rumors surrounding Amanda Nunes, ending up in the hospital and getting pulled off of that card. And the only reason why I knew it was true is because Dana White came out and said it wasn't true. I was like, well,
Exactly.
that must mean Amanda Nunes is about to get pulled off this card, or Dana wouldn't have said anything. So I mean, he also said that the McGregor Mayweather fight did like 6 or 7 million buys or something, and wound up doing like 3.5 or something stupid. I don't know what it did, but it didn't do nearly as many as he said. So no, this pay-per-view probably did 750 or something like that. I don't think it did. I doubt it even did 1 million, let alone breaking the record.
Dana White is a flat earther, bro. So just keep that in mind.
Just
you know
about.
what I mean?
Yeah, just about.
I heard he said the sky was purple the other day. Shit.
If it sells on pay-per-views, he probably said it would. Well, there you have it, guys. What an amazing night of fights. UFC 217 lived up to the hype, and a massive thank you goes out to all you guys who got in touch, and of course to our panel as well. Thanks to Don Wilson. Go check out Fight Talk Scotland. Thanks to Kevin Jones. Check out the main event, and of course thanks to Kyle Steele. Be sure to check out the Loudmouth podcast. I'll just at this time let the guys do the plug. So starting with Don Wilson, I've let them know. But if anyone wants to hit you up or check you out on Twitter, we're the best to do that, my friend.
Don Wilson, just search on Twitter, you should find it. But usually tweeting shite or staying up late watching sports. So that's usually what it is.
Well said, mate. And Kyle Steele, people want to check out your shit, especially that Nicolas Cage movie review, or how the best to do that.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I mean, you can find me personally at LoudmouthMMA on Twitter, on Facebook, all that jazz, and that's where you can find the podcast as well. Just type in LoudmouthMMA. But as John wants me to always plug, make sure to check out the Nicolas Cage Movie Review Hour. You can find that at Nick Cage Pod on all social media, and then we're on iTunes at, of course, the Nicolas Cage Movie Review Hour. Or if you just type in Nicolas Cage, we're the first podcast that pops up. So
nice.
There you go.
That's how they do it, mate. Kevin Jones, main event. How can people check out his shit? Let them know. Send the love.
Shout out to Kyle Steele, keeping it real, baby. You got your plugs down, my man.
I do like 4 podcasts a week, so I'm used to it.
This guy's a busy guy.
Good man, bro. Yeah, you can check us out. We're if you're anywhere in West Texas, you can find us on 97.3 Double T, and that is in Lubbock on the FM. And if you're not, get on Double T 973.com. And you can listen to it live every Sunday from 8 to 9, or you can go to the podcast page and listen to the podcast at your convenience. If you download the Double T app in the App Store, then it's very easy to listen on your phone. You just plug it right into the stereo and cruise down the street for an hour and get caught up on all your boxing and MMA action for the week.
There you go, guys. I'm John Boy McElroy, and if you've liked this podcast, you can subscribe on iTunes or follow us on Twitter. I'm at Martial Arts Chat, or of course, like us on Facebook at, you guessed it, Martial Arts Chat.